Hi guys. So I just had the most fun making these beautiful gel prints on big pieces of paper that look like these, which are so freaking pretty. There's three big sheets and a whole bunch that I did on Spectra Art Tissue, which are here. And if you'd like to watch me do that, then I am going to do that. So I also want to let you know that I did a voiceover, which I have never done before, and it wasn't that bad. So I would be curious to hear your opinion about the voiceover. So that's my story. Come to the table and watch me make fun prints on 24-inch square paper. See ya. Hello, everyone. So this is a new approach for me because this entire video until we get to the end is me working in my studio, listening to music, and not recording myself talking. And I am very accustomed to explaining what I'm doing when I'm doing it and sharing thoughts that pop into my head while I'm through the process. So this is going to be different for me, and I hope it's not tedious because I've never really been a fan of voiceover. It sounds a little narrative, which of course it is. But here we go. I'm going to voice over almost this entire video. And maybe what I'll do when I can't think of something to say, which is unusual. However, if it happens, maybe what I'll do is put my brother's music on. I don't know. This is very new for me. So I'm going to, I guess, get started telling you what I'm up to. So on my last video, or a recent video, I did a sketchbook tour, which was inspired by an artist that I found online who had done a sketchbook tour of her work. And I thought, well, that's a fun idea. And I don't normally look at my sketchbook stuff to, I don't know, revisit it. I usually make it, turn the page, and make something else. So the interesting thing about the sketchbook was the sketchbook reveal, I guess, was how personal it was. Because, my sketchbooks aren't just about art. I write down all my thoughts. They're like diaries. They're like a journal. And when I was watching the video after I had posted it, I realized I had revealed a fair amount of stuff that I normally keep fairly close to the vest. But, I have spent a whole lot of my life hiding who I am. And I guess my attitude today, or at least this minute, is this is my channel, and I guess I can be as real as I want. The point of my bringing up my sketchbook is that I had created a spread. I created a spread inspired by an Australian artist named Charlotte Wensley. And it was very difficult. The work was very difficult. I described it as being fussy. It was a lot of painting inside of layers, and I'm not skilled at painting inside of layers. So I went back. I looked her up, and I wondered why I was all over her channel for a good while. I was wondering why hadn't YouTube served her up. And I started watching her again, and her it's been probably a couple of years since I watched her, and her art has really evolved, and there's a lot about it that really speaks to me because it's a combination of busyness, which I have a tendency to lean toward busyness. So the point that I'm trying to make, that apparently I'm having a hard time getting to, is that what I'm working on right now was inspired by, I went to her channel, started watching her make a video, didn't even finish the video. The minute I watched what she was doing, I ran in here and started printing. So what she was working on was, she was working on her gel plate. She was using grasses, which is what I've dug out of my stash. And she was just printing on large sheets, which I do periodically. She calls them dump sheets, and I call mine roll-off sheets. But the work that she was creating, the complexity of working on a large sheet where you can't really control, you can to some degree control where it ends up, but not really. You end up with something that's a little bit more random than just a sheet of paper with a white edge around it. So I pulled out all of my I save all of my roll-off sheets because they're so freaking pretty. But, I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to choose a color scheme and start fresh, and that's what I did with this this video. So just a little bit of background. So I am working in a 4-color scheme. I've got green, teal, white, black, and parchment. And I wanted to work in a limited color scheme because those of you who follow me know that I'm not strong with color. I recognize it when I see it, but I'm not good at making it happen. So as an example of what you can do, you are working with a big sheet like this that you can't really do on a single sheet, is you overlap elements. And I now that I'm watching this video unfold, I could have done a better job of it. But how do I go back to that? I want to show you something. All right, look on the upper left-hand side. See those little slices and the overlaps? You get sophisticated stuff that you probably couldn't plan when you're just printing. So the whole point of this is, I'm always, I guess, maybe it's true of all of us. I'm evolving as an artist. I enjoy what I do, but I am doing it in front of an audience. And so continuously reworking and refining a concept, particularly when I'm being recorded, that doesn't really, look at that. That's so cool. Look at how cool. Look at those overlapping areas in the black. Anyways, it's difficult to maybe evolve as much as an artist when you're doing it for an audience because it's all happening now. And I don't have I love this. I love this. I love the way this looks. Look at that lower left hand at the bottom of the page. Look at those overlaps. That's so cool. So I get that watching this process is repetitive because this is a 53-minute video and we are 7 minutes in, and you're going to watch me do the same thing over and over again. So I'm working, just for people that are curious, I'm working with mostly Liquitex paints. I've got one, the blue-green is a Nova Color paint. I'm using Newsprint, which I know is not archival, but I don't care. And I'm also using Spectra Art Tissue, which I do a little bit further down the line when I, kind of ready to move on from these big sheets of newsprint. And the plan, what I'd like to try to do is I want to head to Goodwill and pick up another big canvas. I don't know what it is with me and big canvases, guys, but the idea of working small after the I guess it gives you a lot of freedom to work big. So I see myself collaging the background almost entirely with some of these papers that I've made, and painting, doing, I never can remember it, it's reverse painting or negative painting, painting around some of the elements or painting over them or through them, but covering some of the collage stuff so that I can control the chaos. And I'm very excited about it. I don't know what it's going to be like to produce it, in public online, but I just want to give it a try. I want to see what it's like to, what it comes out like. Because I have explored collage a great deal, but I haven't explored painting very much. Look at the color of this. That's that blue-green with black. That is so freaking pretty. I love that. And it feels like I will develop some sort of skills with painting, which I really want to learn to paint. Collaging is a great deal of fun, but some parts of what I do would be a whole lot easier if I could just paint it and just draw the line instead of cutting out the paper and making sure it's the right length and all of that kind of jazz. So this is a piece of, I'm jumping all over the place. Look at the colors on this thing. This is tissue. Look at this pretty thing. Oh my God, I love that. Look at the left-hand side. Well, it's going so fast because I edited this before I started to voice over. So I don't think I can talk throughout this whole entire video. There's no way I can narrate this repetitive process. So I'm going to have to figure out maybe I take a break, let you listen to Rusty's music, and then come back in when I feel like something to say. But look at how pretty those colors are. I love those. All right, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to let Russell play the score of music that we call Drop D, and I'm going to watch what I'm doing, and if I have something to say about it that's not obvious by just watching the video, I'll jump in. I don't know how that works, but whatever, I'll learn. So watch me make art, listen to my brother make his art. jump into here, because look at this. Look at this. Look at the overlaps. How do I stop this? I don't know how to stop it. I don't know what to do. I don't have the technology. But the point that I want to make is that maybe the less careful and the less planned these papers are, the better they are. Some of these are, even though they don't have a lot on them, you need some relief. You can't have every single thing be calling for attention. But the papers that I have loved the most have been the least thought out. The overlaps have been serendipitous, so that you get a little bit of blue and a little bit of green and some of the black. I just so much am enjoying this. So much am enjoying it. Also, I'm getting tired of listening to Drop D, so I'm going to switch over to I Can Fly, which I am trying to learn, but his voice is so much higher than mine. What I want to do is learn how to isolate the music from the vocals so that I can sing with the music, because I think that would be really fun, but I don't have the skills. Eventually I'll have the skills. But my brother's voice is way higher than mine. I am bass. He's above alto, whatever that is. Anyways, bye.
All right, this is a brand new song I just finished writing here. I'm going to try to get through it for you here. Here we go. Looked in the mirror, what did I see? Old man staring back at me with tired eyes. I remember when I was young, thought I could fly above the sun, watch me fly. The world is my oyster, it's laden with pearls, won't you fly?
It's me again. Watch what happens. Watch the thing that comes off of this. This is my favorite pull of the whole entire time. Well, maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorites. Look at this pretty thing right there. So pretty.
Short road before us, a long one behind. You're afraid to see what you might find, you won't shine. World is your oyster, all laden with pearls, won't you shine? I felt love and I'm blessed with friends. If I could do it all over again, I would try. Done some good things, but I've done some bad. Taking for granted all the good things I have with blind eyes. The world is my oyster, it's laden with pearls, watch me fly. Good Lord, how fast these years have passed. Pray many more before the last, before I die. Some memories get here, some fade away. Don't put off love if you can love today, go and fly.
So yesterday I had to go to the well house because one of the members who keeps an eye on it for me found a big puddle of water, which, given the drought situation, is very unusual. And we've been having some problems with leaks. So anyways, while I was over there, I was scouting around for new materials because you get tired of using the same materials. And look at what I found that was completely dead, but it loves being printed with. So even though everything outside of my house is dead or dying, I was able to find something new. So go out in your yard, go to the field next door, go to the park down the street. There's something out there that you can print with no matter what time of the year it is.
There you go. That's a rough cut.
I feel like I should jump in here for a while because we've been listening to music for a while. So we're 34 minutes in. So I've got about 20 minutes, 30, 40, 50, 20 minutes to fill up. And I just want to encourage those of you who are new at gel printing, maybe stay away from trying to produce a finished frameable thing, because I gave up on that a long time ago. It's very rare that I produce something that can be framed. I've produced things that I can put on a card, on the front of a card. I've certainly, produced some things that are very lovely. But if you're looking for a way to create prints that you can use in art, then take a look at this. So remember what I'm using. I'm using tissue paper. You probably have some in your stash from the last time somebody gave you a gift. It can handle much. You have to be careful with it. And this is art tissue, but it's still, you've seen me tape things. It can't really handle it. But if you just keep layering things and not whole things, this is what I'm learning while I'm watching this. These big black backgrounds that I keep reproducing over and over again. No, but look at what that did, that roll-off sheet. Your brayer marks, I think, make some really beautiful art. So we're going to go with these wellhouse weeds again, and I can't remember what I do with them. It's another big green background, but look, I'm at least overlapping it. Let's see what ends up happening when I pull it, because I think the overlaps are the way to go. Yes, look at that. Even that big blue blob that I stuck on there by mistake. This has got me very, very excited. Yeah, look at these textural things. So I've got another direction coming up, and I get kind of excited about that because, I made a bunch of grid collages because I was, trying to figure out how to be a YouTuber, and I created a bunch of a number of large grid collages. Then I made a bunch of cut paper, Pretty Bird and Bird on a Wing, and the Seaside one and the Rex Ray things. Those were all a great deal of fun, but they're not mine. Actually, no art, honestly, is any art yours, because we're all influenced by somebody else. I remember when I was going through the sketchbook and people were reading, and I was reading the comments, people were like, I totally recognized Helen Wells. I totally recognized Charlotte Wensley. You can see people's influence in your work. So I don't mind the influence of the artist being visible in my work. What I want is to take it beyond their influence and turn it into something that only I can make. Now I'm getting ready to do another big dark black background, which I have learned from watching this thing is not, well, maybe it'll be okay on this thing. It's putting it over the layer that you can see right now on the right would be a mistake, but one of the things that I also want to point out is, see how I'm going back in on the same sheet of paper and I'm picking up what's left over? The more you do that, the more absorbent the paper that you use, the more you're going to be able to remove all of the paint from the background, so that when you want to pull up, let's see what comes up after these weeds. Look at the paint that's left underneath it. That's like a nice amount of paint left over, and most of it is still wet enough. You can let it dry completely, like for minutes, until it doesn't come off on your hands, or you can pick it up right now. So you've seen me paint over layers like this, and I have let them dry until I can touch them with my fingers and they no longer come off on my hands. So, you know, and you'll know how much paint to remove when you can start to see the design underneath it. Where am I going with this? I've got another, am I going to wreck that background by putting black on it again? I am. Oh well, this is a learning curve for me. This doing this voiceover is a very different experience for me. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Well, that's not terrible either. I liked it better before I added these layers, but you know what? Whatever. I can make it again, but there's a lot of paint left over. Let's see what ends up happening here. Let's see what ends up coming off. See, I like these raggy ghost layers. I think those are very, very pretty. And I have to remind myself, and possibly you as well, that none of these layers are intended to be used in their full strength. That torn up and pieced in and part of an overall composition, they have their absolute own beauty that that may not exist in its full iteration. What am I getting ready to do here? I'm making myself very nervous because some of the stuff that's already done I really like. If I only just pressed in the middle and didn't put the big giant square over it, let's see. Well, that's all right. That's okay. There's a really pretty layer underneath it. So I see what's beginning to happen here. I have a clean desk coming up, which tells me I have tapped out. I have reached the end of what I'm capable of doing in one setting, and I'm getting ready to show you what I have produced for the day. I've been working on these papers for a few hours, and I haven't spoken because I was listening to music. But I've just cleaned up, and I'm very, very excited about what I have created. So I'm going to show you this top sheet. Look at this. And remember how I did it? This was a big solid black square, and I put a couple of layers of blue-green on top of it, and I ended up with that, which is fabulous. So here's the first sheet. Get it? I want you to be able to see it all, because I want to see it all too. Okay, there's different layers. This is just grass. I was at our well house today. We've got another leak. I've been trying to figure it out for weeks, and I think we finally have. Okay, so this is the first sheet. I went up there and picked those pieces of grass. This is the second sheet. These shapes right here were made with pine, pieces of like Christmas tree pine, that all the pine needles fell off. But look at these. Look at this. Look at this. This whole thing is beautiful. I think I can go back in and put something more interesting there. Move that. This, I don't remember what the order was. Got here. Look at how beautiful this sheet is. Now I used I'm going to go over the paints when I'm done, because it is fun to know what I used for paint colors. And I'm doing this without a microphone, so I don't know what the quality is going to be like. This is, I don't have wet strength tissue paper. Actually, I have a package, but it's too precious for me to use. So this is called Spectra Art. I learned about this paper from Kit Bell. It is more durable than regular tissue paper, but not by a lot. So there, you'll see a couple of areas, if I don't edit it out, where I actually taped the back of it because it started to split. And I can't tell you how I made these layers, although I'm sure they're on camera. This one needs to go back in. It's very muddy. Look at these shapes. So let me tell you what started this painting exercise today. I did a sketchbook tour on one of my most recent videos, and one of the pieces of art that I did was inspired by Australian artist Charlotte Wemsley. And I haven't seen her in my feed in forever. I don't know why, but I looked her up, and she was making papers like these using botanicals in a similar color scheme. Look at this. And I never even finished watching the video. I just jumped off the couch out of my chair actually, with my coffee, and I headed over to the table. This was done by putting pieces of grass underneath this paper, which Charlotte taught me, and rolling it over with a medium, a brayer with some paint, but not a lot. Little pieces of grass still turning up. Same thing with this. I haven't figured out how to not get the black intentionally. Same thing with this. So that is what I did today. I'm gonna probably voice over on it because I didn't talk at all. I was listening to Jackson Browne, which is poetry, absolute poetry. Anyways, that's it. My name is Cherie Burlington. I'm an artist, errant, angel mom, and gel printer. Gel printer occasionally extraordinaire. Once in a while, not so awesome. But I can't wait to share this with you guys. Please like and comment. And please comment. I love reading your comments. It takes me forever to answer them, but I've dedicated myself to answering your comments, even if I never answer another email. I love you guys. See you later. Bye. I said I'd go over the paint, and I never did. All Liquitex basics except for one container of Nova Color. Titanium white, Mars black, parchment, light olive green, and 142 blue green. They were so fun together. See ya. Bye.